Matt and I are back with another Prospect Extravaganza episode for you guys, so join us as we talk about which prospects are studs and which are duds on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at Dom Martino FB. Matt, you got us in the wrong spots, brother. I'm going to switch us over if you're watching on YouTube. Sorry about that, folks. But he's back, the man, the myth, the legend himself, my best friend, Matthew Ane. You can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, last 5-star ratings and reviews, we would appreciate that if you could do that for us. Also, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel, also gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly, subscribe to us on the Subtext website. With Subtext, it's an in-depth, one-on-one, personalized, in-depth experience where, you get text messages right to your phone. You get instant alerts for prospect call-ups, injury updates, and just much, much more than we can offer in this 30-minute podcast. And Locked On Fantasy Baseball fans, we have a fully loaded episode for you. Let us be your team secret weapon, as always, where we provide you with which prospects can potentially help lead you to fantasy glory. And guys, just a heads up, if you can't already hear it, I'm a little bit under the weather today. So bear with me. Matt is going to do most of the heavy lifting here today. I appreciate it, my brother. And who do we got up first for the folks? Oh, wait, real quick. I forgot one thing. So we're actually doing a little something different with this episode. We're going to a bunch of prospects, but just got called up. We have about 5 or 6 that just got called up, and then we're going to talk about which ones are worthy of the stash. So, all right, Matt, I'm sorry. Take the lead, brother. Rest is on you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Least I could do. Thank you for covering me as I took my kid to the her first Phillies game.
Of course, brother. I hope she had a good time.
Oh, she did. Got her a Philly fanatic stuffed animal and whatnot. But let's move on.
Shout out to Maggie.
Yeah, buddy. All right, let's move on here. Let's talk about Mr. Michael Busch. Somebody I actually really liked prior to the season. In my minor league rankings that were just for me. We didn't release them to public. I had him pretty high. I had him in my top 30 going into the year because of, essentially what his upside could be. I really do like the kid. I mean, 2022, he had 32 bombs and he batted about 274. This year through 353 at bats. I'm already incredibly impressed. 24 bombs and batting a nice whopping 323. Just got recalled from Oklahoma City. So he's been playing. He's up now, having his first game. Right now hasn't been up to bat yet, but I think the kid has a lot of upside. I like what he brings to the table. The power is definitely, I think, real for sure. Batting average, I think, is decent. I think, ultimately we're going to be looking at him as like a nice 270 hitter. I think this 323 is just, something of an outlier at, maybe top ceiling is 290 for him. But in that Dodgers rotation with second and third eligibility, I think I'm going to find him very valuable going into the season, going into the playoffs, because Michael Busch can really provide that. He's not the prototypical second base. So if you're missing in power and you don't have a real great second baseman, Michael Busch can slot in and be very, very, very valuable at that position. Also, too, third is not that great this year. And quite honestly, just a UT. I mean, Busch can provide a lot of bonus to your team. So I think Michael Busch should be added nearly everywhere at this point.
Yeah, Matt, I'm on board with everything you just said there. Michael Busch is 2% owned. He's hitting 8th today, as Matt mentioned, his first game back up in the bigs. He hasn't really shown much yet in the majors, but you know what? I do love the walk to strikeout ratio down there in the minors. So for points leagues where you got points for walks, Michael Busch is looking like, a more better ad than categories leagues. 61 walks to 80 strikeouts in the minors for Busch. As Matt mentioned, the batting average upside is going to be pretty good. Anywhere, I'd say, like Matt said, 275 to 290 in that range, I would think so. Power is legit. Not really a speed guy, but in that Dodgers lineup, which is very good, he gets you some RBIs as well. So 3, potentially 4 category upside there for Michael Busch, and I'm a huge fan. Definitely a guy you should definitely consider adding. Let's move on to this next fellow, and it's somebody that Matt and I were super, super, super high on coming into the year. I think I had him as like a top 12 catcher coming in, but he went down with an injury, unfortunately. It's Logan O'Hoppe, and he is back with the big league club for the last couple of games. Hasn't really made an impact yet, but the young O'Hoppe, man, this is a kid. If you just lost Henry Davis to the IL, I think it's definitely somebody you can go out there and snag and, ride the wave with. He's only 10% owned on Yahoo is O'Hoppe. And let me just talk to you about, what this kid was able to do last year in his short time in the bigs. Last year it was only 5 games, but he had a run, 4 hits, 2 RBIs. He had 286, had 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, was pretty impressive. But let's go back to that minor league season last year, which was the real impressor. Before he came over in that trade with the Phillies, he played 104 games, 360 at-bats, 72 runs, 14 doubles, 26 homers, 78 RBIs, 7 steals with a 283 batting average. I love Logan O'Hoppe, and I think he's definitely could be a difference maker at catcher.
For sure. I love Logan O'Hoppe in general. Very sad he got hurt. I feel like this year would have been the year. No question. Add him everywhere. I mean, catcher hasn't been great. I'm kind of mad I made the trades I did because of the fact that Logan O'Hoppe came back. But it is what it is. Logan O'Hoppe is a must-add. But let's move on here. Let's talk about Everson Pereira. I said that right?
There you go. Yes, sir.
Called up, I believe, the other day. My guy is great at 5'11", 191 pounds, age 22. What he's did this year is pretty nice. 303 at-bats, 53 runs, 17 doubles, 2 triples, 18 bombs, 64 ribs, batting 11 stolen bases, and batting a solid 300. He's had a nice batting average throughout his career. 2022 was a low one at 277. Other than that, it was 303 the year before that. My guy is interesting with power. Last year he had 14. The year before that, he had 20. So I like the upside of what he can do. Maybe he's working a little bit more on that. You know what? Let's see what he could do. I mean, I am not the most familiar with Pereira, in all honesty. I know that Yankees fans are excited for him. Me personally, I just want to see what he's going to do now that he's up. I'm not running to go and add him, in all honesty, but he's somebody I'm keeping an eye on to see if he does catch fire, because then he could provide a little bit of something for you.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Everson. He actually played with our Staten Island Yankees before they got rid of them, and I saw him once or twice. Kid, for somebody that's not like a huge guy, 5'11" still isn't short by any means, but 5'11",
Dominguez.
He's bigger than Dominguez. The Pereira has a lot of muscle to him. He had 20 homers in 49 games back in 2021, which is super, super impressive. So the power's real. He has some speed to him too, with the 21 steals last year through 102 games, batting average upside. I mean, let's just see how he adjusts to the bigs. If you need an outfielder in a 5-man outfield league or a deeper league, Pereira's 9% owned on Yahoo. Definitely somebody you want to look into. And the Yankees need that influx of young guys. With Pereira hitting 7th, I like that, lineup spot. Hopefully the Yankees can pick it up here down the stretch. But before I move on to another Yankee that got called up, somebody's little brother, who you might be familiar with, the big brother, just got called up. And then we got a few guys that we're looking forward to over the next couple of weeks that might get the call. I'm going to pass it off to my brother Matt for a quick ad break.
For championship teams, it's all about making sure every player is the perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So next time you need a part or accessory, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Motors, guaranteed fit, you can be sure your every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check mark to know that the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. And when you shop eBay Motors, it's the same. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home the win. When it comes to the right parts, are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions may apply. Dear everydayers and new listeners, we have an incredible opportunity for you to help support the podcast and help you with some fantastic perks along the way. Introducing the Diamond Club on Subtext. By becoming a member, you not only contribute to the show's success, but you also gain access to exclusive benefits. Get your hands on waiver wire rankings, call-up alerts, injury updates, instant reactions. Enjoy direct access to us for all those burning fantasy questions. Plus, you can try it out for completely free for 14 days. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to connect with you. It's on your exciting journey. Join the Diamond Club on Subtext today. Let's take your fantasy baseball experience to new heights. Listener League entry ends September 1st. So hop on it. Join up now, and let's see who gets that first spot in the Coveted Listener League. We're super excited to, talk some smack, play some baseball, and honestly have another route to talk to us and see how we actually, go about managing our team, which, a lot of people don't get to see that. And there's a lot of benefits just being in the same league as guys like us, where you could see how we actually manage and play through the waiver wires and how we do all our ads, drops, and things like that. So quite honestly, it'll be good all around. Plus, let's see if you can take one of us out. It's going to be fun. But, other than that, guys, I'm really excited to have Subtext and everybody on there. Thank you so much. But, so I guess I will give my take on Oswald Peraza, I guess.
Go for it.
Peraza, for me, I like him, but I'm not a big fan. I really just he kind of flopped for me a little bit this year. He flopped and last year he kind of, made a little splash. So I really just want to see him do it. Essentially, the minor league stuff looks okay, but again, I'm not really blown away. So I just want Peraza to just do it before I'm going out there and adding. Out of all these names today, he's about midway point of where I consider adding or stashing versus that. So we'll see where I end up with Peraza. I may not end up with a single share of him because I just don't know where he's going to land for me. But you know what? Let's move on here. Let's talk about.
Man, I don't get to talk about Peraza.
I thought you did.
I did not, sir.
Oh, sorry. After you.
You're good. Let me just hop in real quick. Talk about my boy Peraza. I have a little bit more faith than that, Mike. Last year, he made a nice little splash in 18 games. He had 306. He had 15 hits, 8 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 steals, 6 walks to 9 strikeouts. Peraza's got pretty solid plate discipline. It's not great. It has looked better over the last few years. This year in the minor, 29 walks to 55 strikeouts. Not bad. 268 batting average, 14 homers, 63 games, 48 runs, and he had 36 RBI, 16 steals. So he's got that nice power speed combo. I think the thing that really bothered Peraza was coming into the year, we were almost not that many people besides Matt. Actually, Matt gets credit for this because he called Volpe making the roster. And a lot of people just thought it was going to be Peraza. Peraza was going to be the guy. And, Volpe just had a great spring and it kind of might have threw Peraza off a little bit. So now Peraza on Yahoo, 4% owned, has second, third, and short eligibility, which is nice. As Matt said, I don't think I'm running out there to get him, but if you play in one of those deep leagues of middle infield and you're just struggling, and even corner, because he has third base too, you could definitely add him. You could see where this thing goes. In his debut game, he's hitting 8th, so he's actually behind Everson Pereira. So, these two guys in the Yankees lineup, I hope they just give us that influx that we're looking for of, power, speed, young talent. The troops can rally around them. So Peraza, Matt, you might have been spot on, actually. Middle of the pack, probably as far as guys we're talking about today go. But let's move on here. Let's talk about, we'll go from the Yankees to the Red Sox, and not always excited to talk about the Red Sox, but you know what, this young prospect, Wilyer Abreu, is pretty interesting. 24 years old, lefty, 5'10", 215. So he's got a little bit of stockiness to him, In the minors, he had a pretty strong year in AAA, 86 games, 299 at-bats, 67 runs, 11 doubles, a triple, 22 bomb skis, 65 RBIs, 8 steals. Once again, pretty good plate discipline for a young kid, 59 walks 74 strikeouts, 274 batting average. Hasn't really had that many monstrous years in the minors besides this one. There's a couple of other ones that'll look pretty strong, but he's never really been a batting average guy. So for Abreu, him getting called up, I don't really see the batting average being there. Maybe he'll be some, home runs, maybe like an Adam Dunn type. If you remember Adam Dunn, he's not as big as and imposing as an Adam Dunn type, but, has some pretty big power. Also, he was the Red Sox 17th prospect. So, not a huge name call up, but, Wilyer Abreu could be decent maybe down the stretch for the Red Sox. As for fantasy, probably not running out there to pick him up right away.
Yeah, I like the upside of this kid. It's funny though. So I'm looking at this kid based off of just his profile of how tall he is and how much he weighs. I wouldn't have guessed in 2022 he also had 31 stolen bases. That kind of blows my mind. I figured he would have been slow and just a guy that just smokes the ball out of the park. So it's interesting to see that, guy that has that much, juice on him, I would say, because, big boy, is able to be that fast as well. So that's an interesting combo. I think that with the weight and whatnot, because that's man body to me at 5'10", 215.
For sure.
I think that power is legit. I think that this year he just kind of put it on. And what I do like too is, it's only 299 at bats to 22 bombs. That's solid. That's more than quite honestly, some of the MLB players have right now. So this is a really big power year for him. So, it's interesting. He's low key. Quite honestly, he gets the call. He may be a speculative ad for me just based off of the fact of what the power surgeons can be if he does translate. And they do need an influx of offense on that team. So Abreu could be the key. He might get that call and just be the guy. We'll see. I like it. I like him a lot. But let's move on. Let's talk about Mr. Austin Meadows' brother here, Parker Meadows, and not Peter Parker. Just a stroll in the meadow. Mr. Parker, 6'5", 205 pounds. I love the combo. Wish he had about 10 more pounds on him, but it is what it is. 23 years old, plays for the Detroit Tigers. They need any more good young guys, but we'll see. Plays center field. My guy has gotten the call, it looks like, right? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So right now, in his limited experience, which is literally 5 at-bats, he's got a hit. He has 200 batting average. Whoop-de-doo. It's been one game. But we'll see what he does. But here's what he did in the minors right now. 449 at-bats this year. 78 runs, 27 doubles, 7 triples, 19 bombs, 65 ribs, 19 stolen bases, batting about 256. His batting average is all over the place. 2022, 270, 2021, 210, 2019, 221, and then 2018, 290. So I don't really know what to make out of him. I'm probably going to say he's going to be a 240 hitter. Is really what it's just profiling at, because I'm looking at a strikeout ratio, 123 strikeouts to 57 walks. I don't really like that at all. But what I can say is I think the power is kind of there. I think that he may be a 25 home run guy next year. But with a 20 stolen bases, I could say, because it looks like he's got a little burner on him. So OPS leagues, he's got a nice little value too at 812. So Parker has some upside. He is nowhere near somebody I'm running to go add. I have to see him do it. Because also too, for me to add a guy like this, he has to be knocking the ball out of the park at least twice a week for him to destroy my batting average category. So right now, Parker is more of a watch and see. And then you go from there. And before I let Dom talk to you about Parker, we have one more ad break for you. And just to let you know, we have a bunch of great prospects that we're going to round this show out with. So stay tuned. All right. And we're back. Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, man, that was a great take on Parker Meadows, actually. I'm not going to add too much, but I like Parker Meadows. If he's anything like his, older brother, who's a pretty strong comp, because, Austin Meadows in his heyday, good power, good speed, batting average, probably going to be all over the place. He might have some good years. He might have some bad years. Plate discipline, not very good. 57 walks to 123 strikeouts in the minors this year. So, it kind of leads to, hey, that's where that batting average and on-base percentage aren't going to be fantastic. And then in the Detroit Tigers team, Riley Green and Torkelson have finally taken off, and Kerry Carpenter, another guy, doing very, very well. So he kind of fits right in there. I'm actually a little mad the call-up wasn't Colt Keith. I know Colt Keith is an infielder, but, still would have loved to see them shift guys around and make that room for Colt Keith. But, we're going to have to live with Parker Meadows. Probably a deep league play at the moment. Those 15 mans or deeper. He's 2% owned on Yahoo, outfielder, if we didn't already mention that. And that's Parker Meadows. Let's move on to another Detroit Tiger, though. If you haven't heard the name, you're going to find out now. That is Justyn Henry-Malloy. And he's pretty solid, actually. I'm surprised he's another one that didn't get the call here. The Detroit, I figure, hey, might as well just call up all those young guns now and kind of see what you got. You still have control over them for, a while if they did. So Justyn Henry-Malloy is 6'1", 212, which is, pretty solid young man there. He's 23 years old, and he's actually having a pretty strong year in the minors. 108 games, 392 at-bats, 70 runs, 18 doubles, a triple, 18 homers, 69 RBIs, 4 steals, 281 batting average. And this is a guy that really gets it done in the batting average department. Since 2021, his worst batting average has been 271. And I really love that for the kid. Decent power, not a lot of speed. I think we might see Malloy here. I'm curious to see what the Tigers are going to do. Are they just going to bring up all these young kids, Malloy and Colt Keith and the rest of the crew, and just kind of see what they have? Or, is the Parker Meadows thing just like, hey, we'll get a little excitement there for the fans, and we'll wait for next year with Henry-Malloy and Colt Keith? Is yet to be seen. But I think, if Henry-Malloy does get the call, he'll bring some of that balance to that lineup where, he could be a solid batting average guy with some power, maybe hitting 5th or 6th in that lineup. He's actually 1% owned on Yahoo right now. Has not been called up yet. Just to clarify, these next few guys we're talking about have not been called up yet. So Henry-Malloy, just someone to keep your eye on for the moment.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. It's funny, too. For points leagues, I think he's pretty valuable because that walk to strikeout ratio is stellar this year, 88 to 115. And then in 2022, it was 97 walks to 138 strikeouts.
Kid's got a good eye.
Yeah, he really does. And his OPS is pretty stellar, too. So, there's a lot of good things. And then 28 doubles in 2022. He already has 18 this year. Points leagues, this kid may be like a nice little bumpity bump for the week for you guys. So I'd be keeping my eye on him if he does get the call. But in terms of like a 5x5 roto, I don't know how fast I'm willing to run out there and go at him just based off of his surrounding facts outside of he's going to probably contribute to batting average. Detroit's still trying to figure out who they are. And I want to see what this kid's really going to do in that aspect. The only thing I could probably trust is he's going to be able to put the bat to the ball or get somebody to put him on base. But walks don't help me in those kind of leagues. So that's where I'm really not excited to go add Malloy. But let's move on. God, how do I say this name?
Ceddanne Rafaela.
Yeah, Ceddanne Rafaela. Thank you, Dom. We've talked about him a whole bunch of times. He's a tiny little dude. He's almost as small as Altuve. 5'9", 165 pounds, but the kid's pretty good. This year through, two levels, AA and AAA, 417 at bats, 72 runs, 29 doubles, 3 triples, 19 bombs, 73 ribs, 34 stolen bases. I love that. And he's batting 302. Now it's crazy though. So he's the exact opposite of Malloy. He has 25 walks to 97 strikeouts. He's one of those new age baseball players that, pretty much are just line driving the ball. He's going to either strike out or he's just going to put the ball on the field, and it's just going to be it. Rafael is an interesting person. There's upside to be had with him because even in 2022, my guy put up 21 home runs. This year he has 19 in 417 at bats. Versus last year where he had 481 and he had 21. So he's on a better pace than he was last year. You like to see that from a prospect. They're outpacing themselves from the year before. And let's see what he gets done in this short period of time. If he does get the call, he's going to be an interesting candidate. Stolen base plus just right off the bat for Roto. He might kill you in points at this point. So I don't know if I'm running out and going to add him there. But in 5x5, head to head, I think Rafael might be somebody that I consider adding, but it'd be more of a speculative than anything else.
Yeah, man. I'm actually a huge Rafaela guy. This is confusing to me why the Red Sox didn't call him up instead of, Abreu. I don't know what they saw there, because Rafaela, he's that guy. Jose Altuve is a fair comp for him, like mid-career Altuve, where Altuve was hitting, 15 to 20 home runs and he was stealing a bunch of bases. Maybe he doesn't have that prime speed, that 50 stolen base upside that Altuve had, but 34 steals through 102 games, 417 at bats, looks great. 302 batting average. Probably won't hit that 330. So let's say like an Altuve light type of guy. And I feel like Boston could have used this, a spark plug in their lineup, and they decided to go with Abreu over Rafaela. Little confusing to me, but there's still a chance that Rafaela gets that cup of coffee if there's an injury, or Abreu doesn't work out over the next week or so, and they say, hey, you know what, we want to change our mind and go Rafaela. I could see that happening. But Matt, strong take on the kid. I'm actually a huge fan, probably one of the better guys that we're going to talk about today, in my opinion. But let's keep things pushing here. Let's move on to our next guy. Let's talk about Brooks Lee. Brooks Lee, nice young player. There's just a huge influx of talent coming up in the MLB that I'm excited to see. So Brooks Lee is from the Minnesota Twins. He's 5'11", 205, kind of that same build as Abreu. Actually having a pretty solid year in the minors this year. He has 100 games played across AA and AAA, 402 at-bats, 68 runs, 34 doubles. That's a lot of doubles. 1 triple, 12 homers, 69 RBI, 7 steals, 286 batting average. And this guy has always hit for batting average throughout his whole minor league career. Actually, this year is his worst batting average through his whole minor league career. So that's super, super impressive for the kid. Not really a crazy amount of pop, not really a crazy amount of speed, but, he'll be consistent in the runs, the RBIs, and, batting average, as I said 3 times already. Good plate discipline, 44 walks, 72 strikeouts for Brooks Lee. Just another young kid to keep your eye on that might get the call here in September. If you're in those deeper leagues, you can go out and, stash him if you got the room. If not, just keep your eye on Brooks Lee, somebody that I'm a pretty big fan of.
Yeah, Brooks Lee is cool. It's funny. We picked out a bunch of small dudes, but I like the man body part. The 5'11", 205 part. He's not my prototypical guy I'm drooling over, but the stats really do, scream off the page for me. I like him, but we'll see where he is. I'm not running out to get him either, honestly, at this point, but I would like to see what he can do. But let's move on. Great take, Dom. Let's talk about our last guy here. That's Mr. Drew Gilbert. Drew is somebody I was just checking out myself while Dom was going off about Brooks Lee here. The aforementioned country singer, it sounds like, with that name.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah, a star is born here. So it looks like he was acquired by the Mets in a trade because he was playing for Houston, if I'm not mistaken, Dom.
You are spot on, sir.
So since he's only in AA, I'm not sure if this kid gets the call. But what I would like to see from the Mets is, because they're not really doing so hot, they possibly could bring him up and see what their new shiny toy has. And what would be more indicative of it is if he gets a promotion to AAA soon, because since he's joined the Mets organization, he's been pretty solid. I mean, it's a small sample size, but in 55 at bats, he has 8 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 bombs already, 11 ribs, stolen base batting about 346. He is an interesting player in general. I don't know what his niche is going to be in the MLB, but he has upside. He is nowhere by any means somebody I'm going to run out and grab if they get the call, but it's somebody that we should be aware of. Somebody that, could, if they do come up, has the upside to be impactful on your fantasy lineup. But again, it's a wait and see kind of thing. He is not even going to be a speculative ad. But if I see him get a little hot the second he gets called up, and he has like 2 games in a row, 3 games in a row of doing some work. And doing some work for me, he goes like this, right? So there's going off and just like, hitting bombs and doing everything. Then there is getting a hit in his first 3 at-bats, first 3 appearances, and, bringing in a ribby or 2 or a bomb. And then there is, has about 5 or 7 games and then has about a decent batting average at about 250. And then I could say, okay, Drew Gilbert, maybe somebody I start considering depending on the week. So it's just a matter of those tiers of where I'm willing to go about it and how I'm willing to consider adding Gilbert. But by no means is he's my favorite. He's probably my least favorite out of all these names. That's Drew Gilbert.
Yeah, Matt. Pretty much spot on there, brother. That's a great take. I'm just going to throw in that Drew Gilbert is, according to MLB's top 100 prospects, he is the number 2 prospect overall for the Mets, right behind Ronald Acuna's little brother, who they also acquired recently. So, there is some pedigree to Drew Gilbert, and the numbers look pretty good, as Matt mentioned. I'm on board. Probably not one of my favorite guys here. Might have him over like Parker Meadows. But besides that, he's probably closer to the bottom of the pack. Let's see what the Mets want to do here. Let's see if they want to give Mauricio and Gilbert the call. Maybe Acuna's little brother too, but I think Acuna's little brother is probably more of a next year type of guy. But, let's just see where the thing goes with Drew Gilbert, 22 years old, pretty solid numbers. Not the best guy, not the worst guy we're talking about today. But, Matt, you got anything else here before we bring this thing home?
Nah, other than, hop on the subtext, join the Diamond Club. With this episode in mind, we've been hitting it spot on with all these call ups, and everybody's been getting their alerts real fast and quick, and people are able to beat their league mates to the punch. So, right there and then going into this time of the year, this is going to be very valuable for you. But that's really all I got.
Yes, sir. So, guys, that is all for us today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Also, shout out to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And make sure you tune in for a new episode tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure. I think we're doing waiver wire tomorrow, Matt.
I'm not exactly sure either. We'll talk about it.
All right, so we'll figure it out for you guys, but it will be a one that you don't want to miss. But, guys, until then, see you.
Peace.